Hi there, everyone. It's Mr. Drake. In the event you missed or needed clarification on some things from our review in class of the causes of the fall of Rome, this video will help you review that assignment. Now, before you go any further, you'll want to grab the handout, The Causes of the Fall of the Roman Empire, the one that you completed. Either pull it up on your computer or have out the hard copy. I have filled in on this display of that handout the four main headings that we'll go over in this video: military, political, economic, and social. So make sure you have all the information that we go over in this video on your graphic organizer, and if there's anything you still need clarified, you can ask your teacher in class. Now, if you had to pick one immediate short-term cause of the Roman Empire's fall, you would have to say it's the invasions by the Germanic tribes, the Vandals and the Visigoths, that we've talked about plenty in class. But it's a little more complicated than that. The military was weakened by several factors leading up to the invasion by the Germanics, one being the use of mercenaries. Mercenaries are hired soldiers. They're not patriots. They have no loyalty to Rome or whatever government they're fighting for. They are just doing it for the money. So Rome, as the military weakened, used a lot of mercenaries to try to strengthen the army back up. But since they're just doing it for the money, and again, they have no vested interest, they're not patriotic or loyal to Rome, they don't really fight that hard. There's also a lack of well-trained, disciplined soldiers, which is why the mercenaries were needed. Rome, during its heyday, was known for having a very, very efficient army, and as time progresses, not so much. So the military does not end up being as strong in its later years as it was early on. In terms of political causes of the fall of Rome, one of the big ones is that the government becomes more oppressive over time. After the Pax Romana, you go back to having very weak, inefficient emperors. And one of their biggest weaknesses is their inability to control the people. And since they can't control them using peaceful means, they begin to crack down on dissent, on opposition, and limit their people's freedoms. As a result, people are not happy. People don't like having their rights taken away, so they stop supporting the government. With those weak emperors, those emperors also appoint very weak, ineffective, in some cases corrupt government officials that leads to government dysfunction. Also, the division of the Roman Empire is a big reason that it fell. You might recall that Rome was divided in half by the Emperor Diocletian into the Eastern Empire and the Western Empire. So they stopped sharing as much of their resources and their wealth with each other. Even though they're still technically Roman, they are not working together as closely. And the Eastern Empire had a lot more money and a lot more resources and a lot more farmland and better trading routes and you name it. So the Western Empire gets sort of hung out to dry, and they don't have all those advantages. So while the Eastern Empire continues to do pretty well, the Western Empire really falls apart later in their history. Among the many economic causes of the fall of Rome is taxes. As the military had to be built up to defend themselves from the Germanic invasions, they passed that bill along to the people in the form of higher taxes. So that's going to make the people very unhappy, and it's going to make the economy suffer because people don't have enough money to spend on goods and services they need when it's all going into the government to be spent on the army. The population went down in the later years of the Roman Empire because of the wars and soldiers being killed in battle, and also because of disease that wiped out significant swaths of the population on several occasions. There was a large reliance on slave labor, which led to Rome ceasing to develop any new technology. They didn't have to create devices that would help them farm more efficiently because they would just use tons and tons of slaves. So that was dependent on them having a lot of slaves, and then during the times of war and all that, you didn't have as many slaves working on manual labor. They were in the army instead. So that's going to cause some suffering in agriculture. And agriculture declines during this time. There were several famines, several droughts, leading to people not being able to eat and starving, and that's going to lead to the downfall. And finally, the social causes of the fall of the Roman Empire. One of the biggest ones is the decline in patriotism. As things begin to go badly in the Roman Empire, people are not as proud to be Roman, and they could really not care less about supporting the government because they were unhappy and things were just not that good. So people aren't going to be as apt to support the Roman Empire, the Roman government, as they fight these wars to survive against the Goths and the Vandals. People were more interested in luxury and began looking out for number one for themselves instead of the greater good of the people. So selfishness, you could say, is a cause of the fall of the Roman Empire. And also the introduction of German culture and customs, language, and stuff like that from the Goths, which causes this Roman culture that had united people for so long to begin to decline. So that is it for going over this assignment. As always, you can email or ask your teachers if you have any questions. And be sure to use this graphic organizer and the timeline we've done in class, along with a study guide to help you review for the test on Rome and Christianity.